We are going to call to order the Town of Kensington council meeting for Wednesday, January 14th. Excuse me, first item on the agenda is pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, council, you all received the minutes. I didn't see any comments.
Okay.
All right, so if there are no changes, if we can have a motion to approve the minutes from our December meeting.
I'll move to approve the December 10th town council meeting minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and I need a motion for the January 5th special town council meeting.
Should I move that we accept the minutes from the January 5th special town council meeting?
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right.
Mhm.
You want to start?
Moment of silence.
Huh? Oh, sorry. Yes, is there anybody we would like to lift up this evening?
I'd like to lift up the Rickman family, Pete and Tammy, who lost their dog Remo on New Year's Eve. They wondered why I didn't see him at the park. But Remo has been a fixture of St. Paul Park for the last 10 years, as has Pete on his both morning and afternoon walks. But
Yeah, because Remo's not usually out there on his own. He's always got Pete on a leash.
but he, Remo's been there, almost every day that we have lived on the park. And so ironically, it was my daughter who asked Pete where Remo was because she hadn't seen Remo in a couple of days, and he had taken a nap on New Year's Eve and just did not wake up. So,
Well, that's quite actually nice. You don't have to make that decision. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Anybody else?
I like to think about the Renee Good and her family. The city of Minneapolis right now is going through a lot. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge their pain and be vigilant about what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah, I think of all our little things that, annoy us, I can't imagine what these people are going through. That would just be horrible. Okay, we can bow our heads for a moment. Okay, thank you very much. Pledge and the approval. Okay, so Ellen, did you want to talk about the closed session and the regarding the well, we're acknowledging that, but I would like, you want to talk about the paper that you passed out?
Yes.
To everybody, each place here.
Yeah, I'll say this. This is something we discussed over and in terms of the litigation where the Bakers Union sued the town, and the case has been pursued. And it was about to go into a higher level of discovery, where it was going to require a lot more time on everyone's part. And so the union had offered to hold the litigation in place and dismiss their case without prejudice, and then proceed with your usual process for bringing development projects to the town for review. That involved a tolling agreement, which is very standard in situations like this. That's what you have on the table, is that tolling agreement, which guarantees both parties the ability to not have to redo any part of the case. The case was dismissed without prejudice, which means either side can bring it back, and then it would start off where it left off. So it would not have been a waste. You won't have to redo anything. I think this is a good result for you at the moment. It puts you where you should be, I think, which is able to consider development projects as they're brought to you without any difference in how you would approach them than you would approach any other development project. So that's where you are. And at this point, it recognizes that the covenant about office remains in place.
Do you have any questions?
So I'm noticing under section 3, just the term of the tolling. That the provisions are, litigation can be reinitiated at any point. Or, property is sold. Then just to clarify, also, the third part seems to be, is it pausing all of the other statutes and other, like, suspending the term of the agreement and calculations of other delays, so statute of limitations. I don't know, is there a statute of limitations, my first question, on this type of case?
For some things, yes, and other things, since if it's continuing problem, no. And that you're stopped. So any objection you would have had at the time isn't waived, it's just stopped. Okay, and so you don't have to bring it within a certain period of time now because you're just in abeyance. So if it existed on the day this went into effect, you have that defense to make. This just says that the added time that this is in abeyance doesn't add on to that. Okay, that's all. Like I said, this is a fairly standard way to let everyone where they were so that no one's giving up a right that they had and nobody's giving up a defense that they had either already.
Right, and that we're not losing the work that's already been done, which I'm appreciative of. I guess it's more of a mental note for the council because councils change over time and development is not a quick endeavor that, this could be staying in told for years. And just,
But it ends
it's
once the
possible.
property is sold.
right. Yes.
Presumably, yes, unless, because they'll have a development project that everyone wants to do. And you will have, weighed in or not, but you will still have your right to use your restriction if you want to do that.
Is there still offers on the table that you know of? No idea.
None of that has been shared because they're not required to do. I think they just, everything's stopped for them to be, frankly, to be in litigation with one of the governments that has some say so over zoning is not the optimum way to market a property.
Right.
If the town were to be approached by another developer that has a, potential project, would we have to disclose this tolling agreement? Or disclose litigation to them, or would that be part of their responsibility in doing the due diligence?
I think for the due diligence now, they have to disclose the fact that then there is a covenant on this property. Okay, so, and I think that's recognized. They're recognizing the continued validity until some court found it not to be valid or until you waive it in some way. So yes, they would have to let them know.
Got it. Okay.
Were they aware of the covenant when they put that up for sale? Unlike us who didn't know.
I don't think so. I think this was something people were doing their due diligence and realized that was there in the chain of title.
Yeah, that was what, NRP that found it. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, it looks good. Thank you for getting some specific statements in here about the covenants and about use of the property.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions regarding this? If you do, go to the mic if you do. I don't see any hands on. Okay, so we can move on. Right, we're gonna go on to B. Matt, do you want to bring this up?
Sure. WSSC is putting together a smart meter pilot program. And the town will be hosting a Zoom meeting next Wednesday, the 21st of January, beginning at 7 p.m. to allow residents to ask questions about the AMI program. We included within the public documents, kind of a quick update on what the AMI program is for them. And if you have any questions, you can ask them next Wednesday. They will also be posting A-frame signs to a couple of locations within the town with a QR code that residents can get additional information as well. Also, with regards to WSSC, they are about to schedule a public meeting that will be on their Zoom, not ours, for either the last week of January or the first week of February. We have not confirmed the date yet, to discuss the Silver Creek sewer line project, to provide an update to the community on that. The last communication we had with them on Monday was the engineering team was finalizing the presentation, and we hope to confirm a date by the end of the week, which we will post to the public. And we encourage anyone specifically in the Kensington Parkway, Frederick Avenue, Frederick Place area to attend that meeting once it's scheduled.
And we're still sending out postcards to the.
You will send out a
entire town.
postcard town-wide for that, yes.
Okay. We only have, you want to make sure you get people that are interested. Hold on, you're interested, is that what you said?
I just wanted to.
Hold on, Marshall, you will have to go there.
Sorry.
But yeah, we want to make sure everybody, and the listserv is only, I checked with Darren and Nate, if you want to chime in too. I checked with him and he said only about 40% of the adults in this town are on the listserv. Does that sound about right to you?
How would you know?
I don't know. I used to help moderate it, but I don't.
You're not moderating
Yeah, no,
anymore?
it's not me anymore.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't as a.
Well, anyway, Darren said, yeah, about 40% of the adults.
That surprises me.
Yeah, but it's that much or that little?
That little. I thought it was more.
I'm actually not surprised.
People
So-
move, come and go. I mean, just our neighbors have lived next to us now for 2 years.
And Armory.
Just asked you last week, how do we get on this thing?
Oh.
So,
So, anyway.
I usually
so-
thought it was the other way around. People don't want to get off of it and say leave town.
I know, a lot of people leave town and they
Stay on
stay
it.
on it, well,
Yeah.
especially if they're in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we don't force them off if they leave. So. Anyway, Marshall, if you have a question, you can come up to the
Not a
podium.
question, just a comment.
Well, you still have to do that too, sorry,
Okay.
because we're recording. And just give your name and your street.
Marshall Presser, Prospect Street. Because I'm a unemployed, retired bum, I was at home, and a WSSC person came around door to door. You working people probably were not there for him, but was there explaining what they were doing. He said 2028 was the date in which they expected to
Different
do-
project, different project.
Oh, this is not this.
Yes, I will put that in the town manager. That is a separate project. That is, they're gonna be redoing our water lines. I'll bring that up under town manager.
Okay.
So there's.
He
three-
told me it was
three things.
part
Yeah.
of.
You'll make
of
my
the-
heart stop.
Of the Warner
Yes,
Circle
yeah.
project.
Yes.
That's what he said.
I got the,
Thank you, Michael.
I was gonna
Sorry.
bring it up too, because I got the door hanger.
I got that too.
Yeah, and I was like, well, why are you telling me about Warner's Circle? That's so far away. So, okay, we'll let Matt explain that to us.
Sorry for the diversion.
That's
No,
okay, well,
No, thank you for
We
your,
appreciate it.
but it'd be over-informed than under.
yeah.
well, I don't. I'm hoping it's not 2028, but with any
Don't say it,
government
don't say.
hiccups, it could be. So anyway. I just said that the pilot program is actually, we did run an article in the October Journal about this, and they seem to be having a hard time getting people to sign up for it. I don't know what the number is, but it's basically giving you an advanced metering infrastructure smart meter pilot. And you can also get billed once a month instead of quarterly on your water, and it can kind of tell you when you're using the water and, and it sounds like it's a much more informative way than waiting for your bill to come in to find out your toilet's been leaking for the last.
It
2
does
months.
sound positive. I've talked to a few people who remember when Pepco did their smart meters. What they failed to tell people was that it also gave them the ability to
Charge them more.
govern your electricity. And so in peak times, they can shut off your AC.
Yeah.
And other,
They were pretty clear about that.
Yeah.
not initially.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just wanted people.
I don't think that's the case for this.
No, for water.
No, I
It's kind of
think people are just
metering.
untrusting.
I mean, we should be doing that
Right.
universally.
Well, then I would encourage
Yeah.
people to sign up for it, so.
I have a question. We had been trying to figure out whether this was a lottery to get selected to participate, or if you could just sign up. Do we know?
Well, I think in the beginning, they were expecting, because the enrollment is limited to 1,500 residents, and I think they thought that they would be overwhelmed with everybody wanting to sign up for this program, but found out that people didn't sign up.
Why don't we just offer the town of Kensington just.
Silver Creek aside, we actually have a very good relationship with WSOC.
Yeah.
There's just been some issues with
Yeah.
that one project. And they reached out specifically to us to get help, get individuals to sign up for this
Yeah.
program, so.
I mean, Brandon is, what is his title? He is actually your customer advocate, I think is a better title than that, but. He's been very responsive. I know he can't control how fast this happens. When you're, dealing with 5 government agencies that have to all go through this red tape process, it takes a while, and fixing a broken sewer pipe under the creek bed is not easy. So, I'm just grateful to the people that live around there that reported that there was something going on in the water. That the fogginess was just, and the smell. So I'm very grateful to the residents around there that brought this to our attention.
Matt, I have a question because I'm not sure I'll be able to make it. If you can ask the question about if there's a benefit to the town in terms of being able to identify water main breaks more quickly, for example, if maybe they're underground, if enough residents are participating, or if there's a way that we will be able to better monitor and respond to things like that.
Yeah, we have a, I don't think it's been fixed yet. We have a water main break on Flyers, on the west side of Connecticut, and, they haven't been jumping over there to get it
Yeah,
fixed
yes.
anytime soon, but it's causing a lot of ice
It
in the
is.
wintertime.
I mean, the crew has done a great job of salting it. But like over the weekend when the crew is out for a day or two, it like 5 or 6 in the morning, and it's Monday, it was an ice slick.
Yeah,
So I reported it to our town manager, who will bring it up with WSSC. I get that there are bigger priorities,
yeah, they
which is,
notified, but
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to, go on a nag. But I think we had one a couple of years ago on University Boulevard, and it was there for over a month. They finally got to it, but it's probably most likely they triage it and then they just put you in line after all the other ones, so. But yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. Any questions about the metering? Okay, don't see anything, right? Okay, Connor, you wanna,
sure.
Question from Joe.
oh, sorry, Joe?
Yeah, I just had a quick question about the sewer line work. Is there any really good estimate as to when this is going to be completed? It's been going on for months now. This is down Silver Creek, Kensington Parkway. And I know the complexity issue and all of that, but is there any decent estimate as to when it might be
Well,
repaired?
that's what the meeting's gonna be about, is to update us on that. I think the repair is going to be probably difficult for the people that live around there. But that too will be discussed. As I mentioned earlier, there are 5 government agencies that have to approve this project. And between the state and the county and Maryland National Parks and our parks, Park and Planning, and now the Historic Preservation Commission also gets to chime in.
Right, I get
So-
it. I get it. It's complex. There's multi-agencies involved. That's
Yeah.
a prescription for a long delayed completion. But does the town staff or anyone on the council have a reasonable estimate as to when this might be completed, rather than waiting until a uncertain date as to when WSSC could convene a town meeting?
I don't think we could make that prediction. We
Okay,
deal with
thanks.
state highway all the time. When we think they're gonna do it, they don't do it. So it's just not.
But did we have an estimate for the historic preservation review and when that was.
They
gonna
were
be.
reviewing it,
It
but
was already underway.
yeah. But a lot of times they have questions, you have to send the question answered back, and then it goes back and forth. So you don't know how long that's gonna take. It is government red tape, is what it is. So. Okay. All right. Public schools, Connor, you wanna talk about that? Oh, sorry, Jody? Jody, you had your hand up? You're on mute if you don't know it.
Still on mute.
You're
Jody.
still on mute. Okay, you're
Never
saying,
mind.
never mind.
Montgomery County Public Schools?
Yeah.
So the boundary study for Woodward High School is still ongoing. We are now, it's considered kind of round 3. Additional options were put out. There are now a total of options A through G. There was a deadline of January 9th for feedback on the latest options that were released. In all of the options A through G, the entirety of the municipal boundaries of Kensington will stay with North Bethesda Middle School and Walter Johnson High School. And while, at least in those options, our school articulation does not change, we still wanted to address some other concerns from our earlier letter that we have not heard or seen addressed publicly, which has to do with boundary study and high school programming happening concurrently and which is informing the other. So we drafted our 3rd letter in this process and submitted it to MCPS on January 9th. We did get acknowledgement that it was received. At this point, the remainder of the process is simply that the superintendent is to make his recommendation here in the February timeline, and then it will go before the Board of Education's next meeting, where they will look at his recommendation and then make a final vote on what the boundary study changes will be. Many of us had the opportunity to speak with Superintendent Taylor one-on-one and through MML events to ask, what is the likelihood that he would make a recommendation that deviates from any one of the options presented already by MCPS? And his face-to-face response was extremely and highly unlikely, because he understands that that would be putting forth a recommendation that has never been seen by the public for any sort of input. So if taking him at his word, it would mean one of those options, the 7 that I presented, A through G, with maybe minor adjustments to them, would likely be his recommendation. And so at this point, without 100% certainty, likely the town will remain with its boundaries going from Kensington Parkwood Elementary to North Bethesda to Walter Johnson. But as a reminder, they will open up the elementary school boundaries in another year's time to begin looking at realigning those to the new middle school and high school boundaries. So that's where we stand today. But the town did submit its letter and the MCPS acknowledged receipt.
The first time, right?
Because you
Well,
specifically.
they acknowledge receiving them, they just haven't really responded.
Yes.
Answering the
We've
question.
had questions. We're not, and granted, I'm sure they are getting
Hundreds
thousands of
hundreds.
pieces of input. But I don't know as to whether they're going to address that, other than how the superintendent has to date, which is to say they can't decouple the programming from the boundary, because the programming determines how many seats are needed at certain schools, and they have to determine. And our point was, but families don't know how to look at these plans if they don't know how and where the programming is going to occur. So you want us to give feedback on potential articulation patterns, especially for those areas of the county where your school articulation may change. And how do you feel about that? And what do you think is good or bad about that? Well, if I'm really concerned about AP or IB or arts or STEM, you don't yet know what's going to be in your school. That's been and many other communities, one of the vocalized concerns, and there hasn't been a lot other than we can't decouple.
Anybody have any questions regarding the school report? Okay. The Noise Children's Library, there's some good news there. I had a meeting, that Jared Solomon attended a meeting that Jared Solomon had set up with the county, which included David Dice, who's head of the Department of Services. And then Greg Osnott was there as well, and the foundation, the Noise Library Foundation. They have accepted a contract for the full scope of the project. They have not signed it. They're waiting right now for the necessary paperwork of insurance and things like that. And so they're waiting for that. They are a little thin on the unknowns. They have enough money, a little thin on the unknowns, but Noise Foundation let them know that they do have more money. I think it was a couple $100,000 committed, some additional funding, and then they'll have the Maryland Garden, Home and Garden pilgrimage that's coming up to also fund it. So they were very happy to hear that those funds that they're continuing to raise money. One thing they will probably fall short on is furnishings and equipment within, once they get it built. The foundation felt that it will be, once construction's on the way, it will be easier for them to raise some additional money specific for those items. And it's also something that the town might want to consider putting into our 26-27 budget to help support that as well. So that's to be determined, but it was good, but it, includes, digging out the basement and the elevator and putting on the upstairs. So they have not announced who the contractor is, but they were in a very good mood. Yeah, they were very pleased.
That's great.
So,
Do they have an anticipated start date for that project?
well, the breaking of ground, they want to do it in April. I think it's the 19th or the 25th is Library Week. So they'd like to break the ground then. That doesn't necessarily mean that construction will happen right away, but that's when they hope to plan a groundbreaking. And I don't know when the library would officially close as well. So that's to be determined.
Do we know if, while it's closed, are they moving any of the library assets to another library so that there's a children's nook, or are they just going to be putting this stuff into storage?
Don't know that. My guess is if they do anything, they'll move programming down to Kensington Library, and then everything else will be stored what they don't need. So
I have a question that maybe council members or Matt, you recall when we were looking at earlier plans, there was discussion around pedestrian safety and mobility and reworking sort of the sight lines. And we kind of tabled it because we needed to get further along. So I'm just curious if anyone recalls where that was left off and when we should re-engage.
We have a preliminary plan that Joe had worked with the prior contractor.
Joe Kutra?
Yeah, so we'll need to touch base with the new contractor, just make sure we're all on the same page. There were some areas that we were going to change for ADA accessibility for noise to make it work for us in the future. The other problem is, as Mr. Presser brought up, there's now another WSSC project that is going to encompass the entire circle, which is going to change what we do on Montgomery Avenue with paving, as they will be tearing up the entire water line in a few years and replacing it. So we're going from Warner to noise to WSSC. So that part of town is going to have construction for about 4 years straight.
So basically we just need to re-engage with the new contractor and the plans and revisit them. Okay, if we could have those plans shared, I think with the council, that would be great. When they're ready.
Yeah. Kate Stewart was also at this meeting. So which is, I'm glad she was, because she's keeping an eye out on it too. So any questions about the Noise Library project? Okay.
There's a question.
Oh, yes, Joe.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Do we know what the town's contributions to Noise Library are being used for? I believe that the town donated $25,000 last year and perhaps a similar amount the year before that. Is it going into like a general fund or is there specific?
It's going into a
monies to be
general
used
fund,
for-
goes directly to the foundation. Some of that money has been turned over to the county for preliminary work. But yeah, and I believe to date it's been 75,000. Is that correct?
Minimum of 75,000.
Yeah.
We did more than 25,000 last year. We did the remainder of the mural. So I
Right.
believe that was 40. And we had done,
Oh, that's right, we added more.
I think we're somewhere in the 90 plus,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, we took out from the arts,
Mhm.
yeah, line in the budget. Okay.
90 plus meaning more than $90,000 in the past 2 years.
No, at the very beginning of when they started raising the money, that's been over what,
Yeah, 5.
at least 5 years.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Been going on a long time. I was reflecting, it was 8 years ago that my daughter testified at a bond hearing in a state legislature when she was in 3rd grade.
Well, Lindsay Field, I think her youngest was a baby.
Yeah.
They wanted places for their children to be able to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, things take time, especially when you have to raise money. So, anyway, okay. The number 4, the community electric vehicle supply equipment grant. Are you addressing that?
I'll provide a little background
Okay,
and then
and Al
and
can
Nate,
add in.
you can
Okay.
join in.
I'll join them when need be.
Okay,
Okay.
so through Sustainable Kensington, of course, we've been looking at ways to bring amenities, benefits, services to the community to improve sustainability, and EV charging infrastructure is one of the areas that we've been looking at. So we've been exploring Zipcar, bringing that to Kensington, and Al Carr is on our committee and brought to the committee that the state has made funding available through the EV charging community grant program. And so we had a discussion about it at last week's meeting. There's general interest in the committee in being able to pursue this. We've talked before about adding faster chargers to the newly acquired parking lot near transit. We want to get people out. We want to get people in the habit of using our parking lots. And so this seems like a good opportunity to explore. And so we wanted to bring forward details about the program for discussion at tonight's meeting. We're really looking for input on whether you agree that we should pursue this. And if so, which route feels the most feasible to pursue, because there's a deadline of February 25th for the grant program. We still have one more council meeting before then where we could come back to you with what we've learned, but we kind of want to know which direction we're headed in so that we can get started on exploring the options. So you're going to hear tonight about the different options and have a chance to ask some questions and get some input. And Nate, what would you add?
Nothing else that I'm sure Al will say this, but I feel like this is probably our last chance for a long time to get access to a grant like this, because as we know, the fiscal situation at the state and federal level is not so good. So this grant program will probably not be around. And I think we have a couple members, including our Sustainable Kensington, who've offered to put the paperwork together and actually write the grant with with our support, obviously, and hopefully minimal need for town staff to be involved.
Can you clarify, was that a federal or a state?
This
ordinance?
is
Federal to
Federal.
state.
federal to state, yeah.
Okay. Are they?
It's NEA, right?
Yeah, I think it's 100% state,
Is it 100%
Oh, it is
state?
100%
Okay.
state. Okay.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes. The federal government has not been so supportive of EV charging lately. So.
We want to get those oil up to $100.
So, yeah, good evening, everybody. For the record, I'm Al Carr. I live on Washington Street, and I sent around the slide deck.
She was just pulling it up, I think.
Throw that onto the screen if you choose to do that, if you want to do that. But this is really, it's an opportunity for funding from the state if the town is interested. It looks to me, I mean, this is what I do in my day job, working for the District of Columbia, is going after money for electrification. So it looks pretty generous as grants go. there is $9 million available for implementation. So of that, 5 million is for community-oriented properties like a municipal parking lot, like a shopping center, like a library parking lot, and then there's another $4 million that is for multifamily properties. The maximum award is $750,000, and as Ann said, the deadline is in late February. So there are 3 different options on the next slide for how to participate in the program. So the way the grant structures it is they divide it into owner-occupied versus third-party owner-operator. So with option A, owner-operated, that means the town as the owner of the property, of the owner of the real estate, would also be the owner of the EV charging equipment. The grant is a little more generous under that scenario. This is the model that Montgomery County Department of Transportation follows for the chargers that they buy. For example, they just put in a charging station at the Woodmont Garage 11. And so they purchase the charger, they own it, they operate it. So that's gives you the most control, full control over how you want to work it, what the pricing is going to be for a driver who comes and plugs in. And you can still have a partner who helps with maintenance and operation, but you own it. And there's vendors that do this work. ChargePoint is one of the most popular brands out there. That's what the county uses, but there are other choices as well. And the second option, which I'll call option B, is sort of like an outsourcing model where you're providing the real estate, but you're contacting an outside organization, outside company who would own the charging company, charging equipment and operate it. So the state pays a little bit less for that option, but that, I guess, the benefit of that option is less to worry about because it's someone else is
All
taking
hands off.
care of.
Yeah.
Someone else is taking care of it, and maybe it's less burden on the staff to do it in that way. And there are companies that specialize in that model as well. And then the final option would be more of a hands-off approach, where if the town doesn't want to be the applicant, but you want to have charging at the M&T lot or another site, and you maybe approach the county and say, hey, Montgomery County, if you're going to apply for this grant, we'd love you to consider us as just one of your sites. And in that scenario, you have very little control because somebody else is sort of in charge. But and then the county or whoever you want to partner with might not choose to use Kensington. They might say, oh, well, we have these 10 other sites that we think are better. So sorry, call us next time. So so those are the 3 options, I'll call them.
When you go to apply, do you have to have an option that you've picked before you apply, or that's?
You do.
Okay.
You have to have a good idea what option you're going to apply, how much money are you requesting, and then you have to have details about
The location.
who are your vendor, where
Okay.
are you going to put it, who are your vendors, what are all your costs, what are you going to charge people who plug in. But on the next slide, just to give you an idea of what the grant pays. So for the lowest level is for level 2 charging above 6 kilowatts. So that's, I guess, similar to the ones that are here in the parking lot, owned by Pepco. They will pay $7,000 per port. So a port is one vehicle being able to plug in and charge, one parking space. So if you had 4 spaces and you wanted to put in 4 ports, then that's 4 times 7,000, 28,000 in that case. Or if you wanted to do fast charging, like 50 or 60 kilowatts, then they're going to pay $65,000 a port. So that's for owner operated. On the next slide, it has the numbers for third party owner operator. So you can see they're a little bit less. Instead of 7,000, it's like 5,600 for the base level. Well, for the 50 kilowatt, it's 52,000 instead of 65,000. And on the next slide is just an example of what a charging station might cost. This is what Montgomery County Department of Transportation paid for the new charging station. They recently opened in Bethesda. So it has 2 level 3 ports. It has 8 level 2 ports, but they paid about $370,000 for that. Had they taken advantage of this grant, they would have gotten about $186,000 in grant funds. And on the next slide is just a picture of what a small charging station looks like in a parking lot. This is, you can picture where Hard Times Cafe is in Rockville and the original Carmen's. In that parking lot, they have a small charging station that has both fast and also level 2 medium speed. It takes up about 4 parking spaces. So that would be like one of the options, is to have something of this size, but there's a lot of different ways to do it.
Do you have to provide an ADA space for that, or for the
That is a
charging?
good question. I mean, it's a parking lot, so I mean, you already have to have.
No, but I mean, and or a person with a disability who has an electric car.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the best practice is to design it that way so that a disabled person could use the charging station. I'm not certain whether that is required by law, but that's a really good question.
Okay. Marshall, I can repeat your questions.
Who's responsible for the maintenance costs of these charging stations under the 3 scenarios?
I think it depends on your, huh?
You should repeat the
No,
question.
I didn't know it was going to be a long question.
Who's responsible for the maintenance costs?
Yeah, I think within those 3, it pretty much told you, like, one, we would be running everything,
Or we could contract.
or
it
we
out.
could contract out.
Yeah, so the county, for the new station that they own, that they put in Bethesda, so the equipment comes with a warranty, maybe 3-year warranty or something like that. But just like when you buy an iPhone, you can get Apple Care, extended warranty, so that anything happens to it for 5 years, you're covered. So that's the way it works for charging stations too. So the county bought an extended maintenance and warranty contract from the manufacturer, so they're covered for 5 years if something happens to it. And then, yeah, under a third party, that would typically be included in the third party services. They own it, they're going to maintain it.
Right.
You wouldn't. That would be, I guess, in the negotiation, whatever agreement you have with the third party operator, you'd spell out, if it breaks, you fix it.
Right. Well, I think obviously we have to have some sort of vendor involved with this, because you can't send Public Works over there to fix it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I guess to Marshall's question, looking at the 3 options, in option A, we own the equipment. We are responsible for maintenance. We don't have to do the maintenance.
No, we would probably.
But we
hire
are
for that.
responsible for the cost of it.
Right.
In option B, we own the site. We partner with an operator who owns the equipment. The operator, that partner, would be responsible for the maintenance and the costs associated. But if within our contract with them, there's any sort of revenue sharing opportunity, I would imagine that's a negotiated point, that the revenues to be shared might come after any maintenance costs, right? So things to be considered. And then in option C, where we're the site host only, to Al's point of maybe we partner with like Montgomery County, Montgomery County presumably is on the hook for everything. We're just making sure the site is clean and accessible and on our land.
There's just no guarantee that Montgomery County will put it there or
Right.
without an agreement.
Right.
And in option C, there's no revenue sharing if they choose us, or is there potentially?
So maybe it's a lease where they're just paying you for the value of
spot.
your real estate.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
You know, or maybe it's a reduced value, or you say we'll just donate it, you know, for the greater good of,
Mhm.
you know, the county.
Are you done? I had a couple more questions.
I do, but you can go. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Al, I guess, because the slides are really helpful. You talked about example charging station costs and you used the Garage 11 in Bethesda. Do you know the costs for these two types? Were these just the charging units or the total cost for, say, getting electricity to where they needed it, powering up, all of the infrastructure changes? Like, is this the all-in cost or just that's the purchase price of those two types of chargers?
Yes, so on that slide, the first two rows is the equipment.
Mhm.
So the fast charging equipment, the level 2 equipment, and then the third row is the everything else.
Okay.
So getting permits, the electrical work, you know, everything else that's involved in getting that charger installed and working.
Just for a total of 10 chargers, correct?
Correct.
And then, and that's how I understood the slide. So then my next question is, do you know in options A, B, and C, right? If we're just providing a site, are all of those costs generally borne by the partner in options B and C? Like, like the design and construction costs.
Yes, so under option B, I imagine since the partner is earning revenue
Mhm.
from this charging station, you know, they may very well kick in generously to subsidize anything that the grant doesn't cover, the partner might cover. With option C, I don't imagine that the town would have any expenses whatsoever, you know, other than, you know, liability or whatever from just having it there on your real estate.
What's the current charging station arrangement? Which bucket would that fall under?
So I think that
Those are owned by Pepco.
those are owned by
maintain them.
Pepco, so that would
It's more C.
be option C, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Right. Pepco owns all the equipment. They set the prevailing rate on it. We just provided a site. Did we have costs associated with that? Did we have to? Yeah,
No.
so that option C.
Option C.
Yeah. One of the questions that came up in our meeting was what happened. I mean, they're not the best chargers. They're better now, right?
Yeah,
But
for sure.
But in terms of sites, we obviously have the M&T lot
Mhm.
on our radar for this, but we had also discussed possibly what if we wanted to go in and get those replaced, not necessarily now, but eventually with better chargers, higher, maybe level 3 chargers or something. And I tried to find the agreement, but do we have the ability to break that lease agreement?
have to look at the agreement though.
Yeah, because I couldn't find it in the language from what we approved with the ordinance, but there's a lease agreement. Anyway,
Or Pepco?
yeah, with Pepco.
So, Ellen, do you remember?
Okay.
I mean, the way the technology changes so quickly, you know, that those chargers will probably be out of date in 5 years, maybe? Be something better.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is they're standardizing around the hookups, but there's always adapters. I mean, I've got a Tesla. It doesn't connect natively to the ones in our parking lot, but I have an adapter that can do that. To some of Councilmember Ingles' questions, I mean, as the technology changes, sometimes you can get more kilowatt power going through it, so it charges faster, but that you're limited by how much electricity you can get to the site, what the charger delivers, and what your car can receive, and all of that stuff is advancing.
Yeah.
And then just quality of the made charging station. Our first generation ones with the Pepco program failed. I mean, they just almost all universally failed within
A couple months.
a couple of months. They did replace them. We are having better luck. Whose network they're a part of is part of the conversation also, right? Some of the ChargePoint is I have ChargePoint at home. My home one works great. I have ChargePoint in our commercial building at my office. It is awful. It is always problematic. But ChargePoint has a huge network. Some of these networks are starting to merge. The point is you want people to be able to find these chargers easily, and a lot more of the newer cars are tapping into the networks and part of their GPS so that, our chargers would show up on electric cars GPS systems. So car takes them directly to it. I think one of the bigger questions is, since some of this has to be mapped out in the grant proposal, is we have, 2 sets here and at the Mark Station of type 2 level 2 chargers. And do we, is level 3, superchargers tend to get people off of like 495, right? Because they're commuting through and they need it. There's a bank of them at Chevy Chase Lake in the underground parking, but it would be another reason to pull people towards our commercial center.
That's the idea.
Or traffic.
Well,
We already have plenty of traffic. Maybe they would stop and go to Baby Cat
Yeah.
While they get their
in the
car
parking
charged.
lot, though,
So-
not in front of people's houses.
Yeah,
did you have other questions?
yeah, I'm
Okay,
sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's fine. And I should have asked these during the meeting, but we had limited time and actually the presentation sparked a couple of more questions I had. So do you remember when we were doing these, the transportation grants, the bike pathway grants, and some of the other stuff we were exploring with SHA? There's often a match that's required for the local government. And I'm guessing that's not the case for this. Is that right?
There's no match. It's just an amount.
Okay.
We will pay you this amount per port.
And then the other challenge with that was that we had to fund it from the get-go and then get reimbursed later once it was completed. Is that the case here, or do you get it in the beginning? Because that can be a real hit to the budget.
That's a really good question. I'd have to research that. I'm assuming that it's a reimbursement, but I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I trust the state a little bit more than the federal.
Yeah, but it's also just that cash
Time,
flow
cash
flow.
outlay and
Yeah,
but it's good to know.
Yeah,
But I think it contemplates award decisions in the summer, so we could plan
Budget.
for a budget.
Yeah. Okay.
We get it.
We forget
We
it.
do this.
The other quick thing was, I know there's not a lot of time to do it, so do we have to have negotiated?
Reimbursements and arrears.
Okay, reimbursements. Do you think that we would need to have identified, if let's say we do option B, identified the third party, to what extent would we have to have negotiated an agreement already with them so that we can effectively convey that in the proposal?
Yeah. I think the more specific you can be in the application, the better off you are. So, in a perfect world, you will have gotten, multiple quotes from potential, private sector partners, either just sort of ad hoc contacting them and say, hey, we're looking to do this. Can you give us a quote? Can you give us an estimate? Or it could be more formal, like an RFP, something like that. But yeah, the more specific you can be in that application, I think that increases your chances of A, getting the application approved, and then B, not having any surprises about the cost being different than what you thought they would be.
Yeah, I got you. I guess the risk is that we say we're going to do something and we hope that it gets negotiated that way, and then it's not able to happen based on our conversations with the potential vendors. So as long as we can have effective conversations with them if we were to go with option B first.
Yeah, I think with option A or option B, it would be a very good idea to start reaching out to the vendors now so that you have all the information to be able to put into the application by the deadline.
Did you have a chance to reach out to any?
I have not reached out to any vendors. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of these different companies. I'm sure they would be eager to work with the town to give you an estimate, to give you a quote, because they're in business, they want to make money. This is how they make money by
Mhm.
giving estimates and then getting chosen for projects.
Is it possible to go to like the city of Rockville or Gaithersburg and see what who they're using and
You could, yeah,
what
you
their
could.
charges? I mean, I
know
know
there's,
fresh as far as time.
the county has, agreements already with charge points. So I'm sure you could piggyback off of that and just use the county's pricing per charge point, but
Yeah.
that's just the equipment. You know, there's location specific information about, you know, how much is it gonna cost to extend power? You're gonna have to decide, like how many spaces you want to
Where?
devote to charging, what charging speed, approximate location, and then go to the private sector and learn, you know, what would it cost to do that.
Can we get that guidance today, just the general parameters for us to do that research, where the council feels there may be interest, if there is?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to go around, but, you know, pretty supportive of getting grant money for that.
Yes, I think there are a couple of other important things to bring up first. Just as we're thinking about option A versus option B, which is maybe where our head is, not
Yeah,
to
yeah,
discount
right.
option C, but there are, call them service level agreement, like SLA type responsibilities that come with this. So if we are in option A and we are the owner operator, we just have to be wide-eyed that I'm looking at the program. You have to submit a quarterly report. That report has to talk all about your up times, your maintenance. If you fall below the standard of 97%, they're going to give you 90% of your grant awarded. They're going to hold back 10% is what they say. And that 10% will only be doled out if your chargers are working and operational and meeting their SLA, which is, I think, great, because their point is we're not spending money for these to not be working.
Right.
But there is a burden, is what I'm saying, of if we're owner operating it, then somebody at staff or on the, like, there's a reporting requirement. And we have to know and be, you know, if you fail to report timely, like there's all sorts of things within here. They're very clear about it, but like owner operator comes with, there are responsibilities to managing this over a 5-year period.
I don't know, is there any appetite for option A?
I mean,
Yeah,
you would
don't-
still,
no.
I mean, but presumably, because you could contract out maintenance and you
Mhm.
have a service agreement with that provider, you could negotiate that they maintain all of this data and they submit the reports for you.
I would think so, yeah.
That's.
I mean, but
relies
again-
a lot heavily on the staff to make sure that's done though.
I bring it up only to say, whoever is going to go write this grant, we've got to kind of steer them.
Right,
Option A,
exactly.
option B.
Yeah, yeah.
And so let's,
Yeah.
hey, with these things in the reliability section, you know, all your equipment has to be maintained and safe and operable. If there are repairs, you have 15 days to repair them. If not, like, okay, some of that strikes me as, yeah, option B sounds pretty good. Option B may not have as much financial incentive to the town, but that's not why we're doing it.
No.
Like, right. So again, like in that case, but it also may mean we don't. There's two sides to setting the price at the charger. One is to say, hey, we get to set the price, right? We get to determine how much this charger is going to charge and possibly make. And okay, but the other is to say, we may have no control over that, depending on how we go into option B, and just be realistic that the partner may have full control over setting that price. And presumably they're going to take the market into effect of saying, like, I don't want to you know, if it's cheaper at Chevy Chase Lake, people will just go to, because I don't know about your cars, my car tells me exactly how much each charger costs. So I can make an informed choice of like, that one's cheaper and I will just go there. And others will do the same. So presumably they're incentivized to make smart price setting choices, but we just have to be open-eyed that we may not have a voice in that. And so if people are like, these things are extravagantly expensive,
They
we just provide the
have an
site.
incentive to.
Yeah, I agree.
To price it right.
Mhm. So My only other question, Al or anybody, it's a little squishy on the do you qualify? I mean, it talks about the census tract factors. You
We
do this
did some
for you do
research.
this for a job, Al. Like it seemed to me that, hey, you might not be overburdened or underserved, but it doesn't mean you can't apply. It just you don't get.
We are for both.
We're both,
Yeah.
according to their pool.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
pulled up our
Believe it
census
or not,
tract in
we
the
are for both.
pool, and we are both overburdened, and by their definition,
And
part of that is
explain
air
the
quality. You know,
air
we have,
quality.
Okay.
a lot of air pollution here, so
Mhm.
Because I'm assuming that's
We
proximity
are
to
a
the
tree city,
Beltway.
guys.
Beltway, Connecticut, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the
Okay.
environmental justice screening tool, and it does link somewhere.
And that's what you said. I just
the-
couldn't. Yeah.
It links to the statutory definition of overburden, which has to do with the level of exposure to pollutants and environmental harms. And then the underserved had to do with the income mix of the population. And so apparently when I zoomed in, it looks like Kensington, we were both overburdened and underserved, which is not a tagline to use for the community,
Yeah.
but
But in this regard, okay, great. And then the rest of it all seemed to fall, hey, we are a municipality, we've got public locations, we have previous EV experience. These were all positives within the program.
Do we have any other public EV stations in the town other than the 4 that we?
There's one at the HOC.
It's gone.
It's not,
It's gone now.
is it actually physically gone?
Mhm.
Okay, last year it was still there.
It was broken.
Yeah,
for
broken for a
long
while.
time.
That's the only one
Yeah.
I know of.
But that wasn't public because it was behind the gate.
Yeah,
so
Well, it's probably because they have a lot of vehicles.
Yeah, it was for their fleet.
public
Yeah.
on the weekends.
we
Yeah.
we did talk briefly about location. We just assume, M&T's
Mhm.
lot is a good option. But then we also noted there's nothing on the north side, and I don't know whether we should consider the north side of the ARC train parking lot, or
Oh.
that's
Prime real estate.
prime real estate, narrow
Well,
narrow lot.
behind AU Carpet would be.
Or
a
another
good
place in the
location.
north.
They'd hate it, but it would be,
And and in there, it also talks about transit oriented, that if you're proposing things at a transit hub, that's
Yeah.
a positive.
Right.
And I do think,
well.
for a second, I thought you were gonna say St. Paul Park. I was like,
No, not St. Paul Park. I was
just
thinking
not enough parking.
that parking.
But I do
area.
think the north side, there are permits to part of the north side. Does it interfere with?
There's 18 open spaces that have no restrictions.
Yep.
Everything on the north side of the lot has restrictions. The spaces behind AUB are somewhat restricted. We have an easement with them.
Mhm.
We allow them to use those spaces to count towards their parking requirement on the renovation of the project. So,
But whether it's EV or not EV would not choose that count for them. It's still a parking space.
But it's restricted in the sense that it can only be
yeah,
one
we
type of
haven't,
vehicle.
we allowed them to use a certain number of our spaces so they could meet the parking minimum requirements when they renovated that project. So you're probably looking at the 18 spaces that are closest to the rail line that you'd want to put the stations at.
You sure?
Well, I think part of it's also just where's the electricity comes.
Basically, you're taking away parking, not from train commuters, you're taking it from Medina,
Yeah.
because that's who's parking there.
Huh.
It's Medina's that's parking there. They're employees.
But I guess the reason I wanted to
Mhm.
surface that is to see if there was interest among the council of exploring the feasibility of something on the north
Yeah.
side of the tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In part because those who are going to Mark with an electric vehicle, their only option is to drive all the way around.
Through the traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
We also have that small, tiny, this is a terrible suggestion, I understand that, but we have that small, tiny parking lot,
behind.
Kensington Parkway that no
Ricci
one
drywall,
no
Yeah.
one uses.
was Ricci drywall.
But
Yeah.
Mark people park there and walk to Mark too.
Yeah. The grant also is open to private,
is.
to residents as a private property owner.
Not
correct?
residents, no.
No
not
residents, just
residential.
private,
No,
commercial.
multifamily.
Oh, yeah, because
Apartment
there's
buildings,
apartment buildings, that's right.
shopping
Can you
center owners, so I talked to John Blick today.
Uh-huh.
He's interested.
Could we
So
bundle the application, or does it
Yeah,
have to be
he
separate?
wanted to know, he said if the town is interested, maybe there's a way we can jointly talk to these vendors and it's a bigger opportunity for them. Ann and I spoke to Kensington House about that. I mentioned it to Warner Church because they have that lot on Prospect.
Mhm.
But yeah, those are all eligible applicants.
What about Carl Vogelmeyer?
One
He was
for-
I
planning-
think he's planning on putting EV stations in there already. He's talked about it.
Just let him eat the cost,
Well,
or just inform him that there's a grant proposal.
Can inform him.
yeah, definitely do
Is
that.
that Warner?
Warner.
Warner Circle.
Yeah, this could
He
subsidize
definitely
them.
mentioned EV stations.
Yeah.
Although he may be getting, because that would actually, I think one of the parking lots would actually be parks on park property.
So to keep us moving, it sounds like there's general support for doing the research to pursue the funding. And that we'll explore options on the north side as well as the ones that we've discussed, and potentially bundling with commercial, if it makes sense. And then
We're not
Level
interested in
3.
A.
yeah, well, hold on.
What?
Level 3, level 2, we mostly
Yeah.
have level 2 now. It'd be nice to get some level 3. Are we open to both level 2 and level 3, or do we want to prioritize?
I think
level
part of it is
3?
how are they gonna function? In
Yeah.
the M&T lot, I think level 3 makes sense to try and bring them into the commercial corridor.
Mhm.
If we're putting it at the commuter lot with the idea that these might be people who are taking a training.
It's okay to have a longer charge.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Like,
there all day.
you know. But if it's no, we just want to give a place for people to supercharge on the north side. Then, but I would say otherwise, level 2 on the north side mark and level 3 in the.
Is a short charge, I mean, is it realistic to put a time restriction on that car so it's not sitting there all day?
So I only supercharge on Teslas, and Tesla supercharging stations are very sophisticated that you charge, and the moment your charging stops, you have a grace period, just a handful of minutes, because it's also informing you through the app. And then they start charging you for being on the station because it's the opportunity cost of not allowing somebody else to
Yeah.
charge. So
They,
you're
they,
paying.
they should have that in there.
Yeah, I would, so I'm saying, yeah, I only have experience with one vendor. I imagine they're all, especially on a type 3, realize like
What's money?
time
Yeah,
is
it's not
money,
You to sit
Right.
here in your.
So you
parking
can
space.
sit, but you're gonna pay for the time.
Yeah, I like with
Okay.
type 3 in the M&T lot, that makes a lot of sense. Go
Yeah.
have a coffee, go,
Mhm.
check out some stores and then head out.
But you're not there all day.
Right.
You
all day.
want turnover.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before we get to option A or B, another question that we were discussing is whether to do a basic RFP to get this information, or do it more informally where we could, arm Al with a questionnaire to go out to vendors.
I hear RFIs are the way to go, man.
I just think you guys have like,
So I
6
can
weeks.
reach across the table. It's
Yeah. You don't-
including having it submitted.
Just reach out. to people.
I kind of feel like, would that be faster, Al? It's just,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
just,
feels simpler to
I would
me.
hate for you guys to, put something formal out and then they sit on it and then.
Yeah. And you want to get into dialogue with them,
Yeah.
I would think, pretty
Yes.
quickly.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Those are my questions before we get to the big option A or B. Are there other things, Al, that you need direction on?
No, I think, well, pretty clear on how you want to do this.
Okay, so-
One clarification,
Yeah.
do we want to explore replacing the current ones with Pepco? So that we have the same network
Mm.
provider
how many are there now? 4?
for,
Do it the train to.
Well, I mean, yes, but again, these network providers are consolidating. Even in the time when we've had Pepco, it has changed providers.
who is it now for ours?
It was Shell at one point, now it's
It's gonna be called Switch.
Switch, yeah.
Switch.
Should we ask Switch, to put them on the list too, for one of the people you speak with?
Yeah, Switch would be a good
Mhm.
Okay,
company to inquire about, but I would say leave the Pepco ones in for now, and then if they go away at some point, then, at least we'll have some other options.
okay,
Yeah, because the infrastructure to have them there is already there. So
Yeah.
Right.
now you're just changing out the,
And maybe it's when the Pepco term expires. And if we have a partnership with a vendor, hey guys, if you want to swap these things out.
yeah.
Hmm.
Gotcha, okay. want to clarify.
Okay, so option A or B, now we get.
Wait. Let me ask, does anybody here in the room or online have a question?
Marshall,
Marshall, you're gonna have to go up there.
Marshall, we're glad you're here
I
tonight.
know,
Yeah.
he's retired and has nothing to do.
So I've driven across an electric vehicle cross country 3 times. And so I'm acutely aware of failed Tesla superchargers. And they are not uncommon. So I would urge you all not to get in the business
Of maintenance.
maintaining those chargers. That's the first thing. The second thing is investing in level 2 chargers is like investing in a factory to build incandescent light bulbs. Okay.
I heard they're coming back.
They're gone. I mean, it's a last generation technology. It has its purpose. I mean, I understand that, but no one is pulling off a 495 to go to a level 2 charger.
Right.
That's great feedback. Thanks.
Thank you, Marshall.
Yes, thank you.
And, you know, I want to kind of riff off of Marshall's point. I mean, level 2s incentivize maybe employees of the shop or people who are just going to sit there all day. Or,
Well, I
you know,
know
multiple
residents that'll
hours.
bring their car over here at night
Nice.
and they
Yeah.
park and then they pick it up in the morning. So it's sitting there all night,
Mhm.
which is not a problem.
It isn't, but they could also just come over here for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, my car is generally 10% to 80% in about 12 minutes.
I don't have an EV. I have no idea what y'all are talking about.
Yeah.
I'm impressed though.
Amazing.
It's
Yeah.
impressive. I will be going to get
I-
one, Brandon.
When it clicks, I'm sure it's going to blow up, but it never does. It always makes a lot of noises though.
okay, well, let's move along here. So you want a A or B, except you're.
Yeah, is there a sense of council?
I mean, I agree with Marshall. I don't think we want to be in the business of, even if it's getting a maintenance contractor, I think our role is more to provide the site and we'll work with a partner, try and maintain as much control. I'm don't have to expound on, but option B, I'm
Yeah.
very favorable.
I agree. I think option B is clear winner for me right now.
Sounds like me,
You're B two.
I'm a B.
All right.
Fine
Thank you.
with me.
Thank you, Al, for all
Thank
your-
you, Al.
all your
And
help.
I think as you run into questions, obviously Nate and I and Matt can be helpful, and then let's plan to have this on the agenda in February before it's submitted. Okay, thank you for all
Thank
your
you, Al.
help.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Al.
We'll let you go start talking to the vendors.
It's gonna rush right home and send out those emails.
Thanks so much.
Okay. All right, well, let's go down, council member to council member, we'll get an update. Stuart, start with you.
Man, well, I'm sure we talked about this last night. I think a lot of things have happened in the pedestrian safety world for folks who have not been paying attention. December 17th, there was a state highway. Our last town council meeting was December 10th, right? We did not brief this yet, so
Yeah,
I'm just
we did.
making
Yeah.
sure we put this in the record here. December 17th was a state highway hosted meeting with our state delegates. And it was really well attended. I think there was probably, I don't know, more than 70 people.
Oh, yeah.
I said 60, 70 last night and people were like, anyway, I think there was some commitments that were made by State Highway. Specifically, I want to flag, they committed to installing a traffic light at the intersection of St. Paul and University Boulevard. They said they will start the traffic study and that will run for about 9 months. And then they'll install that hopefully in 2027. So there's a bunch of promises. I think the traffic committee, PBAS, met last night. We understand that the next important phase is implementation of those changes that they want to enact. And I think that's some of our mandate to ensure that that stuff is followed through. So all in all, I think it was positive. I last night I said in their traffic committee meeting, that was a credit to the state delegates and State Highway for engaging in conversation. I mean, little too late, obviously, much too late, but you know, it got done. So more to follow there for sure. And then January 10th, I was not able to attend, but there was another traffic meeting held by Evan Glass. Was that, where was it? The
It
Rockville?
was at the
Council building.
council
Rockville.
building. in-
That was also well attended, 250
Mhm.
folks apparently. And so similar conversations were had. I think there were some takeaways. I don't know, Mayor, if I did not attend, so if I could.
I mean, my takeaway is that, there were four of us that attended that are associated with the town. Two residents, myself with Leslie Olson, and then Marla and Carol, who were on the
Yeah.
FPC, but they don't live in the town. Three of us attended the state, one attended the school. And my takeaway, because it was a very full room, is that all the things that are important to pedestrian safety is not just here in Kensington.
Yeah.
It is all over Montgomery County. So it is, we also talked to Administrator Pines afterwards, and money is an issue. He's got priority list of hundreds of priorities just in Montgomery County alone. And they are most likely, not all of them will get done in the time frame that we have been promised. This is why I don't like to make predictions on when things are gonna happen. So part of it, he blamed on the big beautiful bill that took a lot of, or provided a lot of deductions to our corporate friends. And that is going to take a lot of money out of the coffers of the state in general, not just for transportation, but of all things. And so they won't be taking anything off the list, but more than likely they will be deferring them a year later. So, like Summit Avenue Extension, there just is not the money. So, and that's, across the board. It's not just, as I said, transportation, it's schools, it's everything. So, it was kind of a downer to hear that, but, he's just, he made the comment that just in the people that got up and were explaining their situations and what needed to be fixed, one of which was a light, that Tacoma Park has been waiting for forever. He said there's probably, almost $1 billion right here, just in
In this
fixing what
room.
they need in this room, yeah. And so it was, somewhat depressing, but, it is, as I said, though, I think we still keep it in front of them, we still push it. But there are limitations to what can get done.
Yeah, just to be realistic about it and try
Yeah.
to find solutions where we can that are minimal cost. I think that was the takeaway for me is, what can we do that's low impact, low cost, that will move the needle a little bit.
Right.
And we just stack those on top. So
Mhm.
that's going to be my approach going forward for the rest of 26, is to try to find those, shorter term, lower cost projects that we can kind of push through and see what we can do from there.
Yeah,
So,
and push, our District 18 as best we can
Yeah,
too,
indeed.
to advocate for our area.
For sure. That's a critical piece. All right, so that was discussed, and then I brought up a new initiative that I'm thinking about. I'll flag it for the council here. It's our approach to sidewalks generally. So one of the things that I am starting to focus on is Kensington's approach to sidewalks generally. I asked the group if they could provide some data, and they provided the walkability audit. And so I'm starting to kind of digest that a little bit. I'm going to be with Alan, I think, in the next couple of days to talk about what that means. So more to follow, I think, for me on this. I think I would like to get more information and learn more about how Kensington has decided to put sidewalks where they are. And so for the residents, just a heads up, I'm thinking about this, and that might make me a very not popular person, but that's okay. It's all right. We'll have a conversation about it, but I intend to start the conversation about that. Let's see. And then also I have to give a shout out to the team. Alan and Leslie put a lot of time and effort into supporting the House and Garden tour. They had put together a map that actually had folks crossing Connecticut on foot in places that was really not safe. And so Alan and Leslie made a pretty good recommendation to the committee that was managing the House and Garden tour, and actually amended the route. So it was a good news story.
you.
And our folks.
You're walking them across Baltimore. to-
Yeah,
It's I close to that, but they'll amend the book with an insert.
Good.
indeed. And they'll offer a shuttle to get folks over to Kengar where one of the houses is gonna be located. So yeah, I mean, you can imagine the folks that go on house and garden tours are not the kind of folks you want to be, crossing Connecticut in the middle of rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So unfamiliar with Kensington.
exactly.
That's what he means.
Just want to protect our citizens. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, that was that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and then I could just flag it for the group too. I did send an email, I think y'all are on it, about the backstop at St. Paul Park. And I sent some pictures of the current state of it.
Yeah, it's not in good shape on the
It's not in
bottom
good shape.
particularly.
And some of the fencing is kind of ratty and there's some steel hanging off the sides, could be a thing. So anyway, I just wanted to see if we could have a conversation. It doesn't have to happen tonight, but probably pretty soon about what do we want to do with that, if
Actually,
anything.
it would be really helpful to find out. I know that it's important to have the back area here because they do play like soccer and things like that. Do we need the taller since we don't really play, not that I've seen, baseball?
Are people using it for practicing?
Well, I know they use it, the little kids use it to
Yeah,
hit the
they
ball.
take the soccer ball in
Take
there.
the
Yeah.
soccer ball.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I
yeah.
think we do need to keep it. I'm just wondering if you need the whole top.
No, I meant, are people using it for baseball?
No,
Oh.
I've seen no organized, I mean, some, parents with kids
Yeah.
will go out and run
Practice
some
pitching and
T-ball,
hitting.
yeah. But there isn't like organized Little League that uses it,
Yeah, I don't
even
think you can
T-ball,
use it over 12.
12 years old,
So-
Yeah.
and, but it's in rough shape. I think another question is what needs to be done just from a safety standpoint? What do we want to do just to change how it's used? Should we keep it? And then a bigger conversation of, is a backstop like what we, how, another conversation maybe around the phase 3, of St. Paul Park. We've done more things with staging, and I don't know if like something to reactivate the park or activate it differently so that it can be used for more like outdoor theater or arts or music, or if it's just, no, we just want a simple fenced area so that kids can kick the ball in.
I know the chain link always encourages climbing, and that's part of the reason why, especially for the older kids that get on it, and it really shouldn't fall apart, but it does, because if they.
And they push themselves into it, and
Yeah.
but now, especially along the sides that go out at the top of that fence line, it's been pulled off, and now you just have exposed fence, and so that could be replaced fairly probably easily, but the question is just like long term, do we want it there? Do we not want it there?
Well, I don't think putting up the chain link to fence it is that expensive just to fix those areas, but the question, it would be nice to address it. Do we want something different?
Yeah.
In the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I have seen little kids, they're kicking the balls, and
Yeah.
it is a good area, cause
Sure.
kicking the balls into the street is not good, so.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
is there something else we could do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that park is magical. So, in my mind, I envision it, if it were to be fixed, it's like a perfect like kickball backstop.
That's what I was
With
thinking
it's with like a
in terms of-
great kickball, but like the houses are so close and the cars are parked right there. You don't want people hitting baseballs
No.
there because it's
No.
like they're launching them into the thing. And if we're talking about moving town vehicles next door over there,
Yeah.
We don't want that happening.
No, you
either,
want to
so.
discourage little balls.
Yeah, so I think if we keep it, we definitely need to improve it, but I personally would be in favor of removing it. We have a backstop down here on the south side of town where folks can go if they really want to hit baseballs. And then I know we've talked about the park on the north side over by the shark fin, where that would potentially be
Oh.
longer term.
The Kensington
Obviously,
Heights.
Yeah, where that is much more open. There's more trees there, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's I don't know. I think the kids I see kicking there, it's not like they're playing soccer. They're just
kicking
they're just kicking the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I if pressed, I would be in favor of removing it entirely.
Do you want to do that for now and not repair it?
Just remove it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like is
I
there a way to
wouldn't
get
wanna-
some input?
Yes, that's exactly. And Stuart and I talked about this in the parking lot. Do I have feelings? Yes. I would not want to remove it without a public.
No, I understand
discussion.
that. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
I
if
think-
that, do we want to ask around. Of course, a lot of people, I mean, really do face to face because people don't read journal articles or that sort of thing, and they're not going to, you know.
Well, I think if we just can do some repairs real quick, and then start publicizing, like, let's have a discussion, and then maybe time it up with when phase
When
2 of the
everything's-
park is, the playground is done, and we do a ribbon cutting, and there's a whole bunch of people, we have a dialogue,
Okay.
right? And, you know, I also don't want to overwhelm people with the idea, like, the park is constantly changing. But the backstop has been there and it's just deteriorating. If we can make some safety improvements and then start the conversation for a longer term. Yep.
Maybe we can
Yeah.
provide some ideas.
Yeah. And along that, Matt, I don't know if the park is ever, if we're resodding anything inside of the walking track anytime soon, but if that's ever on our horizon, I'd also like to talk with Montgomery Parks about maybe bringing the pump track over
Oh, yeah.
for a portion of a summer. I think
They still-
it'd be great. They have to do some maintenance on it. I talked to the guys from the bike unit. So if it is optional to bring that in, to time it up and put it where we're gonna resod anyways, because it'll, you know. But
Okay. All right, so repair and then look to something in the
Yep.
future.
so happy to work with Stuart on, as we are rounding up the playground phase 2. We talk about, you know, in line with like our CIP budget discussions, hey, let's continue having a discussion around phase 3 of the playground and now the backstop of the playground, and kind of put that as part of the St. Paul Park CIP discussion when we go to do budget season.
Sounds good. Anything else to me?
No, thank you.
Ann?
A few quick updates for the Greenscape Committee. Some of you may have noticed that we did remove a few of the trees at Ernest Memorial Park. If you get questions from residents, there will be new trees planted. We're just waiting to do some more of the site work. For the parking task force, quick update on the status of the RFI and RFP. Stuart and I did meet with Sue Ellen, I guess it was just
It
yesterday,
was like 2 months.
to go over options, since concerns were raised at the last council meeting that what we had prepared was lengthy and we may not get enough responses. So we now have a plan. We're going to work with Sue Ellen to make revisions to the RFP. We are going to forego an RFI because our main hope is that we get some viable bids. And we're worried that the RFI could be too onerous after all. So we're gonna have edits shortly. We'll pass those around to the small team, the task force that was reviewing them, and then Matt, we'd like to get that out as soon as possible so we can proceed with plans. We also had a Sustainable Kensington meeting last week. We are full speed ahead on pulling together our submission for recertification, most likely at the silver level. We have bronze. Sorry, bronze. I meant to say bronze.
I was gonna say,
I already had
I was like-
it. We're high achieving.
I have some questions.
There's a lot that we're doing. I think the main thing to update the council on is the food waste outreach.
Yeah.
I think that, I know you mentioned the teams going around. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Sure, yeah, we put together, we met, Ann and I met with Alex and Matt in November. It was like right after Thanksgiving, I think. Is that right? Or
Yes,
early December. Just to talk about what we could possibly do, get some data on the, you know, how much is being picked up here at Town Hall, but then also obviously through the food waste collection program. And the numbers are okay, but they're not where we want them. So we discussed some ideas. We put together a plan for increasing the numbers for the pickup, but also eventually for decreasing the trash weights. So seeing if we could displace some of the trash into the food waste. So essentially it's like 5,000 pounds per month.
Yeah.
That we want to double. So we're going to set a target to double it by July. That's our goal. So a couple of things that we'll do, and please come in if I miss it because I don't have it up right here, but we're going to be doing targeted outreach to survey residents and inform them at the same time. So we'll go door to door, and we've divided the town up into sections that will all kind of group up in like these clusters, and then organize, basically just going door to door with a quick survey, some FAQs on what to do, and then also give them the option of entering a little contest to get a free counter tote. So you don't have to just haul all your stuff out to the big one, the big bin outside, just have something.
It works great. I
Yes,
use it.
so we're gonna try to purchase a
What
couple-
size bag goes into the?
We will buy the bags.
Okay.
Also,
They'll
to
go with the
at the
bags.
countertop size.
They'll go with the bags.
caddy.
Yeah, but just to kind of make it interesting, dispel some of the myths,
Yeah.
and just give people an opportunity to ask questions. We also thought about doing something to get, the compost crew gives the compost out every year to the people who are participating in the program. And we've asked, Matt's writing down again, to ask Devco if we can get some of the digestate delivered here somehow to get it on site, so the town residents who are participating somehow could identify themselves and we could validate it, they could pick some up. But that's maybe not going to happen immediately,
Uh,
or maybe it is.
Compost Crews offered us some bags. I need to touch base with both of you. There's two delivery drops. We missed the one in January, but
Oh,
there's
really?
one in April. I'll follow up with more
Okay.
information.
For having the
Yes,
this.
We'd
Yeah.
love to use it in our town parks.
yeah, so, I'll just make a note to follow up with you tomorrow about that.
Okay,
for
thanks.
compost, yeah.
Thank you. But getting the equivalent from the company that processes the food waste from the pickup, called Devco. See if we can get the digestate.
If
But
I remember from their presentation, they'll do it, but it's like a dump truck at a time.
it's basically they give it to large farms, agricultural producers, and we just need to let them know, hey, we're interested. Maybe you could dump some in the lot somewhere and like have a certain amount. We could figure it out, but it's not the most. It's not part of the plan. I was just mentioning that because we also talked about partnering somehow with Johnson's or a local nursery in incentivizing people to participate in our program by having some partnership with them about getting free compost or something to that effect. What else am I missing? The
Those were
toters
main-
were big
yeah.
ones. I can pull it up too.
Those were the main.
Let me just pull it up quick.
Is there a grand prize for the section of town that does the most?
We did talk
That's
about
because of
that. Someone
competition.
did suggest having a competition, but we did not commit to that.
But you do well, we're probably not able to do it. It'd be nice to say, okay, like the west side does so many pounds versus, but that would be hard.
The
to do.
visual audit, we were talking about
we-
that.
Or how many pails are put out?
We did talk about
percentage.
that.
Please-
It's like you were in a,
Yeah.
it's like you were in our meeting.
Yeah, you weren't there. Yeah.
Nate, you had the route and bin audit as a
Oh, yeah.
component.
Yeah. So we talked about doing,
The west side doesn't have put too many out.
yeah, just to kind of do a visual inspection,
Mhm.
just to see how many are out and where we're not. And then more people may be participating, we realize, than we're giving credit, even if we only see 3 bins on a block. It could be that houses are putting them out
Every other week.
because they're really large bins. Just to do a quick identification of where we think they're weaker. And then the survey itself would just be asking, are you participating? If not, why not? What would help you to participate? Would having a starter kit that has the countertop pail with the bags help? Is there anything around the timing of it? I think residents may feel a little overwhelmed that we have 4 pickups right now.
It definitely would be easier to have it on the same day as the trash and the recycling, because I mean, I've forgotten, like tonight, I need to go home and make sure my thing is up
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
but I might forget.
Yeah, but we think just this more face-to-face engagement will help things a
Yeah.
lot, just to be ambassadors for the program. Everyone's willing to
I
do
think
it,
it's
so.
Great, I hardly ever take out my trash in the kitchen, it doesn't smell, but
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't interrupt, but one other thing I remembered from our conversation is we were going to say, since there is an incentive for ecology to really work with us on this program, because they're likely to do this at the county level, right? And maybe ecology has an incentive to do more work with other jurisdictions. we can get the data in the format that we need it from them for the food waste pickups, because I think it was really hard to process when we received it the first time. To be able to see what numbers we have for the baseline versus what we'll get, so we can monitor it more regularly. I think we talked about just kind of asking them to give it to us in a format that's easier to digest for you all. So that was it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. You-
My
anything-
update isn't
anything-
even really an update. It's just to say, and I'm sure you two will talk about this, but I got to attend with both of you the M&T Bank ribbon cutting. I'll let you guys talk about it, but just to say, these two are like rock stars there. They were so well appreciated, and just made me proud to be serving with them, because
Aw.
it just was very clear how that project and then other things related to it would not have happened without the support of the town, and also town staff. Obviously, were thanked many times. So Matt, Alex, and others. But it was very clear that they were very appreciative.
And-
Everyone, like the
and-
entire staff and all the people from corporate, everyone knew Connor and
They should-
Tracy.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Super nice.
They thought my dog was cool too.
Abby was a real star.
She was the star.
They had,
I plop her in a chair and she just stays there.
Love it.
and you guys should
Let's
check
work
it out
on
if
it.
you haven't gone in.
Haven't
It's
been in.
really nice. I mean, you see it from the outside, but the inside, it's a really nice space on the inside.
It's
looking out.
nice. I mean, I go there at least once a week because across the street I have to put money in for my work, and it's just really nice. It's very pleasant. And
Is it upgrade over where they were down here?
yes, it is.
Well,
There's
especially
no
for
water
the
stains on the.
employees. Yeah,
Oh,
I think for the employees especially, just because it's heat and water and everything just works.
Yeah,
But there's also a ton of natural light because they've got windows on
Yeah.
3 sides.
Mm.
So, and just the fact that the way they've constructed the drive-through, well, the drive-through is open, that the same person that's inside, they can be doing both, or they can be
Yeah.
supporting both, as opposed to they have to staff the drive-through. They used to have to staff the drive-through
yes,
separately.
that one person be out there all by themselves.
yeah. Interesting.
So,
Yeah, no, it's really nice. And the nice thing is they are very now embedded within the town
Yeah.
and feel this sense of we're a part of this community.
Yeah, that was
I
very
mean,
clear.
and it was very clear. And so I feel like if one of our events
I was-
needs money.
They have been a sponsor of
Sponsor
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, but I think they'd be willing to do a little bit more
Mhm.
too, which is great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's kind of fun to meet the corporate people. There were a lot of them too.
It was packed. There was a lot
Yeah,
of good
yeah,
food too.
very
You guys
nice.
missed.
No, I RSVP'd and I got,
yeah.
I had a conflict last
Anyway.
night.
Connor, what you got?
You guys missed out also on the MML Montgomery chapter holiday party,
Yeah,
Mm,
Connor and I held down the fort on that one. too.
Good,
Nice.
good.
big ballroom.
Yeah,
Nice, open bar?
Ticket, you got a ticket.
we got one drink.
It was, I will say you got to hear some of the legislative priorities going in,
The interesting.
which is actually the interesting part. So I will only bring up one because I find it to build off of what you were saying. We had a number of businesses that were new starts that ran into all sorts of problems with WSSC or Pepco with designs and permits and approvals. And what would happen is they'd have an inspection, they'd pass everything, they'd move to the next part of the design. They'd have another type of inspection, but that inspector would reopen their previous inspection and would fail them. So Delegate Solomon has a bill in that says 2 things. One is you can no longer do that. If a section of if a permit is approved by you, it is approved by you. It cannot be reopened by a different inspector who may subjectively think that they look at the same thing in a different light.
Yeah.
If it's approved, it's approved. The applicant needs to have certainty over the process.
For sure.
The other part of the bill, because this did affect a business in our town, was when you come in and you calculate your fees and you give the bill and the bill is paid, if you, WSSC, I'm using them as the example, made an error in your calculation, that is your fault.
Mm.
You cannot
Go-
resend the bill.
It will
and-
be 50
yeah,
grand.
and then hold up their permit for non-payment. If it is on the bill, if it were to pass, simply is telling them that you all have to do your math right the first time, and when you put it out and it is paid, it is final. So, look for those as it goes through the legislative session. We'll see if they come out the other side, but that was to the mayor's point, the most interesting part is hearing the different bills that are trying to address, other concerns, right? Like automated stop sign cameras. There's a pilot program in Tacoma because they've got their own police department and jurisdiction. While there's appetite in other jurisdictions that are Montgomery County police monitored to say similarly, like we're having a lot of problems with stop signs. Can we move that technology in here? So there's some bills working around those areas as well. And there's a number of bills. Those are just the ones that jumped out. So the other big one, and I know the mayor was great to flag it for everybody, but just for the record, is that the governor has put out his legislative package around housing growth, and affordability. It is 3 bills that will go into the legislative session. Obviously, some of these are modifications to bills put in last year that did not make it through to being signed. And so they've evolved based on just where housing is within the state. But all 3 of these bills in one way or another have the potential to touch Kensington. So I'll be brief, but to outline them. The first is the Maryland Transit and Housing Opportunity Act. This aims to do a lot of what Montgomery County Planning has already enacted across the county, which is to say things like, hey, we want to eliminate minimum parking requirements if you're building transit-oriented development, right? You're around transit, you don't need to have as many parking. We're going to reduce that minimum or eliminate it altogether. It promotes mixed-use development. The county is already doing that. It expands some financial incentives for projects located near high-quality transit stations. So you can see how that might impact Kensington, except for that a lot of the language around transit uses words like high-frequency transit hubs, but there's no definition as to what high frequency is. But there is a lot of discussion on listservs and other like that MARC stations are not. Purple Line, maybe when they start operating have numbers, certainly Metro. This is very much aimed at Metro. But there's a lot of questions from us and others, I think, that, hey, we've been through this before with the county, that not all transit is equal. And the MARC station, while it is a form of transit, it has sometimes lower ridership than some bus stops. And so what is the right removal of certain development standards for a MARC station? So, we might want to, keep an eye on that bill and talk with our delegates and senator as it progresses, just around, hey, there needs to be some more certainty around this language of what, how are you defining frequent, or how are you defining high quality transit? So that's the first bill. Second bill is the one that would most directly impact the town, and this is the Starter and Silver Homes Act of 2026. The idea being that people who want a starter house, or people who are downsizing, that's the silver part of it, and want a smaller place, that the county just doesn't have those anymore. A lot of them are being flipped into larger homes. And so how do we incentivize smaller scale homes that will come with a smaller scale price? So what this would do is reduce the minimum building lot requirement from 6,000 square feet in the R60, which is what the majority of the town's single family zoning is R60. We've got a couple little weird spots, but we're almost entirely R60. It's currently 6,000 feet. This would reduce it to 5,000 feet. It would also permit the smaller single family homes on these smaller lots. It would also permit townhouses by right in the single family zone. So these are some changes that were talked about in the attainable housing strategy, but never fully realized
the biggest thing about this bill and all three of these together is, as drafted right now, they would supersede any other local jurisdiction, so county or municipal. So why it impacts us, let me get to the other one that's huge, is setbacks. It changes the setbacks considerably. So it would change the setbacks from the county setback side setback is 10 feet. It now changes it to 5.
We're 10.
8,
county.
well, it will take it down to 5.
Yeah.
The front setback goes from 25 feet to 10. And the rear setback would go from 20 feet, this is the county standard, to 10. The point being, there would be no county standard anymore either if passed, because the state would be setting all standards.
Right.
It would also mean the carve out that allows us to be more restrictive would also be eliminated. We would not have
The
this
Wild
control.
West, basically. what
Right.
they're
So hello,
creating.
California. This is
Yeah.
what California would look like. It's
Yeah.
Right.
super dense areas in the Palisades.
It would also do things like prohibiting lot coverage maximums. It would prohibit minimum square footage requirements for new dwellings. So in essence, they're trying to create very high density areas. What I'm not sure of, and I mentioned this to the mayor, but I wanted to mention it to you both also, is the intent here is to open up new and more lots in the R60 zones to increase density, to allow things like townhouses, which I understand the intent. But I didn't see where it carves out how this applies to renovations or flips. Because in essence, it opens up the lot to a much bigger, much larger density structure. And so while it's trying to promote, by especially opening up the smaller lot size, but if it's trying to promote starter homes, it might actually spur more redevelopment.
Right. You see that.
Right, because if you're expanding the setbacks especially, you're now giving permission to build a much bigger property on
On a
an
lot.
existing lot.
You mean one single family home on it?
It could be, but it could be town. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be a duplex or a triplex, but it also could just be that you have opened up this Pandora's box to what has been happening, especially, around us. The town has it, but certainly Parkwood has been a poster child from Montgomery County development of the post-war Cape Cods
Yep.
and smaller, what used to be the starter homes being flipped into these 5,000 and 6,000 square foot homes.
Yeah, especially Kensington Estates.
But now if you can go an additional 15 feet off the back, 15 feet off the front, and 2 feet off the sides, and even more so in the town, you're
So that
opening
was
up.
not
Yeah.
limited to townhouse developments, those changes to the
As
setbacks.
drafted right now, it did not.
And did set
No.
maximum limits.
No, you cannot, there's not lot coverage maximums. They're reducing the setbacks to kind of the smallest possible. The one thing that I will say is that as drafted, it does prohibit, these changes do not apply to any historic districts that were in place by July 1st of 2025. So there are big parts of our town that would be left out of this if it were to pass, but it's not the entirety of the town.
Is there a phased implementation period for this, or is it just
As written right now, October 1st, 2026, if passed.
entirely, the
it'll
whole
go in-
thing?
it would
It's
just-
all,
It just, as of state law, as of that date, if passed and signed.
Was there much discussion? Well, I guess this hadn't been.
No,
it
out
wasn't.
yet.
No, and today is the first day of the legislative session.
Yeah.
This was released last week, I think on the 9th, on last Friday in a press conference. And I think the draft bill kind of came out like late yesterday. So this is all kind of brand new. I think your mayor's call was,
I was on a mayor's call earlier this week, and this kind of came up from the town of Chevy Chase. And they're of course up in arms. I mean, I think our land costs are so high up down here where we are, it's not gonna hit us as hard as, maybe up in Rockville or Gaithersburg, things like that area. But we just had a second house sell on Wake. What was the first one? 7, 8?
799 was the first one, and that was a knockdown.
Yeah, well, they're both knockdowns.
Second one was 749.
Yeah,
We have a property for sale on the north side, which is the cheapest in town, 675,
right.
which will most likely not be a knockdown. It's
No, because
pretty
the
nice, yeah.
lot is too small, not very deep, but those would, what was for just sold and for sale, those were starter homes in their day, and they're
Yep.
no longer starter homes. Cause a $780,000, price tag is not.
For a tear down.
Yeah, for a
Yeah.
tear down.
And that's why, to Sue Ellen, as you look at other jurisdictions who may come and talk to you, exactly to this point, our property values are already fairly high. And if they are looking to tear homes down, they're incentivized to build almost the biggest house that the market can bear, not necessarily the most affordable house or housing units the market can bear. And so my concern is that this bill is not addressing the problem that it is set to address.
What they really should be looking at is lots that are otherwise undevelopable because they're too small. And allowing for that type of development on that lot, not the reconstruction of houses or the enlargement of houses on lots that are already there and already built. But if they don't narrow it down and make it clear, and those kinds of comments can get made. And the drafters, especially when they're moving fast and it's about zoning, which the state level is not all that used to doing. They have listened in the past, hopefully they'll listen again about what are you really doing here, what are you really incentivizing? Because what you're really doing, unless you're talking about a really small lot that can't be developed right now, is just allowing people to make a bigger house.
So I bring that up in part to say, what do we feel is our best course of action? Is it a letter to our delegates and senator to carry the water for us? Is it?
Well, I know Barney Rush, who's mayor of the town of Chevy Chase, they were talking about, the municipalities again getting together and trying to figure out, whether we do it jointly. If that would be a good.
We may have different, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the town of Chevy Chase has too much problems because their lots are not, there are a few, but they're not giant. They don't have a historic district though.
Yeah, I'm open to all ideas. I just put this out there as trying to be an honest broker that some of the concern when we did this at the county level was, and I guess to reverse it, I think some of the other jurisdictions were happy to see us engage because then it wasn't just the Chevy Chases.
Right.
And working together with our other municipal partners has always been very positive. I just would hope that it doesn't get discounted, whatever our input in our letter is, because it's just, it's a bunch of NIMBYs. We, in fact, are trying to promote more housing and diversified housing within the town. We don't have as many lots that, with the programs the county has brought forward that we have tried to support just don't impact a lot of parcels. But I think this is a concern that this isn't addressing affordability. And my concern to the town attorney's point is, hey, if you don't get it right, you may actually open this up to, I don't want to go back to the McMansions term, but like promoting or incentivizing even larger construction.
Well,
it's even less affordable.
We did talk about, getting at some point, like Jared Solomon or Emily Shetty to come and talk to us about exactly. I think the bill is starting in the Senate though. So.
Well, Bill started in the Senate this year, right?
So it might be worth a chat with
Jeff
Wallstreicher too.
And then along this, I know that Chevy Chases and some of the older jurisdictions also have had this concern with other county level development ideas, but to also bring up the idea of fire safety, that when you eliminate parking minimums or off-street parking requirements, especially if you're going to do multifamily by right. You create a choke point on some of these streets that the fire apparatus just cannot get through. So we've got a handful of those. So that's the second bill. Third one, just real quick, is just the housing starts over. It's part of the executive order package, Housing Certainty Act of 2026. This goes towards multifamily mixed use development. Essentially, the biggest part of it is what's called early vesting, that a developer, if they get their applications approved, they're approved. If the zoning and regulations change during the time frame that they are working out, putting shovels in the ground, they have a clear path forward that if they were approved under whatever was the zoning at that time, they can go to construction at any point. So that doesn't necessarily affect us as much as, you know, people who may redevelop within the town would know. They would gain more certainty.
Thank you.
Yep.
Um,
Do you have any other-
anybody have any questions about any of the reports that the council has provided? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. I just have a couple of things and then we'll do public appearances. It's almost 9 o'clock. I do want to let the council know and the public that the $1,000 donation that we had voted to do for James Anderson, that account has now been open and the town has made the donation.
Nice.
So.
I saw his dad at the meeting.
Oh, at the
on the
Newport Mill?
17th, yeah, 17th, and his dad said thank you for that. He was very appreciative of that, and he was well aware that the town donated that money. He was very
Oh,
thankful.
well, that's good. I mean, it was our pleasure to
Absolutely.
honor.
Hmm.
I do want, tomorrow night, there's a chapter meeting, at our chapter meeting. I'm not able to attend. I don't know if anybody can, chime in on that at some point. It is, Jared Smith. I don't know if this is the Jared Smith that chaired, the, MML chapter before. He was at Tacoma Park, council member. So I'm not sure, I mean, can't be that many of them around, but he's the new president of the Montgomery County Economic Development Corp.
Okay.
So it might be worth just kind of logging in if you can.
I don't think they're the same, only in that this Jared Smith came from Utah.
Okay, then
Yeah.
it's a different one.
It's correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anyway, so if somebody's able to log into that, if you need the link, let me know. It does start at 6 o'clock. So best time. I am meeting with Carrie Ann tomorrow morning, so we're gonna figure out the next journal. So I'll send that around once she and I chatted about. She's already kind of started it, but we don't have much going on in January, February, so it'll be a March issue. Okay. If there is anything that's not on the agenda that you want to bring up tonight, this is your time. Okay. All right, we shall move on. Okay, Matt?
Mayor Council, we had planned to close on 10415 Montgomery Avenue tomorrow. We are gonna slide that to Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you sliding till Tuesday?
To close it.
Oh, yes.
That's what we're
Sorry,
looking
didn't
at,
hear
and we started that. conversation.
Town Attorney Ferguson is in communications with the MT group up in Buffalo. Looks like we'll formally close next week. It's just administrative stuff that's on our mandatory referral and just kind of basically getting someone to hand us the keys. So we should close on the next week. The St. Paul Street Storm Drain Project, yeah.
On that, I know, milling and paving will occur but are there any signs prepared to just quickly put up, especially for like overnight, no dump,
Yeah, so we'll probably close a lot immediately until we have the signage off.
Okay.
There's a base layer parking map that's being worked on right now by our traffic engineer. We need to make a few modifications before that would even work. Basically, you gotta get rid of the drive-through area.
the
We're about
raised
concrete.
circle, yeah.
So, you know, even if we were to close last week, it's not gonna be open to the public the following day, but within a few weeks, we should have it open. And the only signage restriction we're putting on is no overnight parking right now. We'll evaluate it in the future to see if we need to do anything else. But right now, it's just what we're gonna have. So. St. Paul Street Storm Drain Project, 10,700, 10,800 blocks is moving along. They have got the inlets on Madison and Decatur in. They graded out yesterday to start for the inlets on St. Paul. Those inlets should be in by the end of this week. And then we'll move over to widening the rest of the street. If you've been up in the St. Paul Decatur area, you've probably seen all of the structures. This is, as I've said many times, this is the largest infrastructure project this town has ever done. And you can see what's going to be put in between University and McComas. We've been in communications with Montgomery County DOT on the Greenway project for McComas. There's no issues there with the intersection. We did mention to him that we will probably have to mill and pave McComas for them up to Farragut because we're redoing the inlets at the base. They're fine with that. We agreed to put in the sharrows for the project for them once we're completed. There's a raised crosswalk just north of the intersection of McComas and Farragut. It is not within our paving plan. So they have no concerns on our end for the project.
Hey, Matt, two questions.
Yes.
This came up, one of my constituents up there asked me, are there speed bumps gonna be put back
Yes,
in?
they'll be put back. And we've gotten some feedback from Mr. Henny was here earlier. I know he's been impacted significantly and they've been very good in communicating with us. Although we are widening the street to Montgomery County standards, the center line and the edge lines will actually reduce the travel lanes, and that should help with reducing the speeds. And then the speed humps will be put in back as well. There have been some questions about that. You know, if we're widening the street, won't that increase the speeds? Theoretically, yes, but the center line will be installed and there will be an edge line that will actually reduce the width.
Nice.
The actual travel lanes coming off University. We've done some studies previously. There's some pretty good speeds coming off University. We're going to narrow that up a little bit at the intersection.
That'll certainly help with the stoplight that goes in there too.
Yeah.
Once that's done.
Yeah.
Second question, there is sidewalks going on, was that the west side of that project or north side of the?
We are
of that
installing
project?
a sidewalk on Madison Street between University and Decatur.
Okay.
It will cross over onto Decatur heading east. We were gonna redo the path in the park of Kensington Heights. We might have enough room to put a sidewalk along St. Paul. We don't know yet.
Okay.
Once the inlets are in place, we'll see if we have enough room. We do need to put a tree box in there because we do need to replant all the trees. We just need to figure out if there's some grading issues there. We don't want to do a retaining wall. We think we can do a back curb. But we just need to make sure there's enough room to actually plant the trees that we told everyone we will plant. So we're gonna figure that out in the next week or two. I'm gonna have a better idea. Once the project's completed, we will mill and pave Madison, Decatur, from Madison to St. Paul, and St. Paul from University to the intersection of McComas. And then obviously we'll kind of go into the county a little bit, do McComas up to Farragut.
Nice.
You've got the tolling agreement. So, and Secretary Ferguson mentioned that we have settled with Baker's Union property. So hopefully we'll see that on the market soon. I'll bring that up.
Yeah, you said that's why I didn't do it.
I want to, Mr. Presser mentioned the door hanger that the mayor mentioned. So this was brought to our attention earlier this week by WSSC. This is a long range plan for them. They will be replacing 4 miles of water line within the town. It's basically the water lines south of the CSX rail crossing and east of Connecticut. So it's basically this side of town, the town hall side.
Is that what they've similar been doing in?
Yeah. Yep.
Chevy Chase Field?
Yeah. So starting next week, you'll see WSC subcontractor out there. They'll be doing some mini test pits. They'll be doing some camera work. They're basically doing the engineering. We're looking at 2027, 2028, or maybe a little longer before the actual project starts. But they will be replacing all the water lines on this side of town. The milling and paving will be curb to curb. So they will not be doing the Washington Gas trench patch for us, so.
Do you think there's something you could write up for the journal?
Yeah, I can. They are doing door hangers, but we can
I
definitely.
know,
do
but
something else.
take the door hanger
Yeah.
and turn that into the journal.
There is a project manager. I have contact information for the subcontractor right now. And I mean, we're 3-4 years out. Well, 2-3 years out now, it's 2026. There may be additional subcontractors that are brought into the project. So,
Well, I mean, Chevy Chase Views had those things for a while now too, so.
yeah. So.
The same time.
We have been advised by the day of the book that they are going to take a pause this year. The town has discussed about potentially absorbing the festival as one of our town festivals. It's something that we'll need to discuss further within the budget for funding for FY 28.
7.
2027.
Yeah.
FY 27 for next year. So we'll kind of discuss that and put that within the intro budget to the council in March.
And in the meantime, as part of putting together that budget, can you also gather some information just on like what it would take and contracting for a event manager?
We have some ideas from talking with Ellie, like with the tent costs and everything which we've covered in the past. We need some better understanding of what other costs are. Obviously, staff cannot handle this event.
Right.
We would need to bring in a coordinator that basically manages it from day one to the actual festival. I mean, it would literally be doing another Labor Day. We just.
No, I know.
can't
That's
do
why
it.
I'm asking.
So we just need to get a better understanding what the cost would be associated with it.
And Ellie would be happy to work with the town and put together, I mean, she's got things, but to actually really put it together book on, everything that they've done.
And this is, how many years has it been in the town
18.
now? Almost 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, last year was the 18th.
Amazing. Okay, thank you.
That's all I have for updates.
Okay. I think we have no ordinances, resolutions, or regulations. We've done public appearances. And our next meeting is set for February 11th. Is everybody good with that date?
Thank you.
Yes.
As I know.
Yes. Am I hearing something over there?
Yes,
Uh-oh.
I have tickets to a concert downtown.
This better be
On
good.
the second Wednesday?
It's a little band from the 90s called 9 Inch Nails. You may be familiar with them. I have tickets for a
Not at the
concert.
Trump Kennedy Center.
Oh.
So,
You wanna-
the February meeting will not be an issue, but the March meeting potentially could be an issue with the renovation project.
Yeah, I think going forward, we'll decide on,
Yeah.
let's see if we can get another date to accommodate Stuart right now, but if it's weather is bad, we will meet on Zoom anyway in February. So
But what was the March meeting issue you were gonna say?
the renovation
We
upstairs.
Oh, being
we
here in person,
may
okay.
have to meet on Zoom.
Yeah.
The council room may be needed for town staff
Mhm.
or other
Storage or-
issues,
yeah.
storage or.
Okay, so do we want to try to keep it in that week, or do we want to go to the 18th? That's Ash Wednesday.
Well, I'm wondering if trying to move it up, whether in that week, but not going later only because
We
the,
have that.
the deadline for the
deadline.
EV, more time is
EV.
maybe better. Does the 10th, does it just moving it up a day work?
I can do that.
I think that works for me. I'm checking. Yeah, works for me.
I can make it work, yeah.
Mr.
Thank
Beasley,
you.
Jeremy?
Sounds
I'll
like
get
somebody
you some
signed
swag.
last 6 months.
Yeah,
Got you some swag.
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know if you wear 9 Inch Nails swag.
I have a couple of the shirts in my,
Nice.
Okay.
And you're
and a hat.
You get a
buried
new
in
one.
some
Okay.
Like that Resner keyboard.
All right, so we will make sure that gets changed on the website. And that Carrie Ann knows that we'll be meeting on the item. All right, we good? All right, could I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.